Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey there, Meteorologist here in Tuttle, back with you again. It is about 10 minutes till noon, so thanks for joining me. You've come to the right place to talk about the potential for severe weather later on this evening across parts of Oklahoma. So I hope you're having a great Friday so far. I hope it's been a wonderful week for you. You're ready for the weekend, relax, kick off, or maybe, just maybe, since the weather's finally turned a corner, it's getting warm, you got the spring fever, and you're ready to get down in the dirt and start doing some digging. That's probably most of us are going to be doing out there. Currently, it is nice. I mean, there's a few clouds is about it. Here we're looking at western view over the city. So nice here from my vantage point on the AT's weather cam. Temperatures outside, we're 73 degrees here. So it's already shaping up to be a great afternoon. Love these numbers. Now, it's going to be a lot warmer, though, making it to the 80s here later on today. All right, so let's get on with the program, shall we? Let's take a look at elsewhere over the state. We do have a lot of 70s across Oklahoma. Now we got some low 80s sneaking in here to southwestern parts of the state, and that will obviously work its way north and east with time and expand and get into the 90s out here in western Oklahoma today. Now, of course, it's been windy, and it's still going to stay windy, at least for today. You can see these winds here gusting up to around, they're sustained at 28, gusts at 35 here in El Reno. Kind of gives you an idea of how windy it is, and the Oklahoma wind machine just will not stop. Now, you do notice in this region we have a southwest wind that's pumping in the dry air, so that's helping to facilitate and what will be a dry line out in this area here of western Oklahoma. Whereas in eastern Oklahoma, we get more of a southerly component a little bit, so you get more moisture in this area. So that'll be setting the stage here for later on today. As we talked about, the winds have been gusting, so we're up. But so far, the highest peak has been into near 50 out here in Canadian County and up north into Kingfisher, even out here in northwest Oklahoma. So hang on your hats. Now, red flag warning today because of the wind, because of the dry conditions and the lack of soil, vegetation, etc. They green things up, so easy fire danger, easy pickings out here. So it is in the critical level and near critical. I think last week or earlier this week, one day, we were in his extreme. So you just got to be careful out there. All right, now there is a risk of severe weather across the state. So the Storm Prediction Center has highlighted this area just on the northeast side of Oklahoma City, stretches up toward northeastern Oklahoma, into Arkansas and southern Missouri. And so it's a pretty decent slight risk zone that has increased in coverage from their prior forecast. If you look here, they've increased the tornado probability here at 5% to include Tulsa. We talked about that last night in our lives, and it just almost comes in Oklahoma City. It's just east of town. And then there's the wind threat and there's the hail threat. So it's a very small risk overall considering the entire country, but a decent one for Oklahoma. If you look here on the close-up view, that risk just barely clips the east-northeast side of Oklahoma City and points north and east. So therefore, it's mostly going to be an eastern Oklahoma event and into Arkansas for later on, late this afternoon and into the evening hours. The jet stream pattern, you can see that in the water vapor channel, which basically shows a west to east flow in the jet stream with these little disturbances that will help brighten up the cloud peaks here. And so that's what's going to help to try to kick off some stuff later this afternoon as things get more settled on the dry line. And storms, as a result, will have a tendency to kind of move east with a slight drift here to the southeast as they kind of spin and rotate just a little bit. So these will be southeastern movers versus a northeastern mover. Here's a look at some of that energy in the atmosphere. Let's see, let's put it right about here. So it's not a lot, just a little bit of color. This represents just a little minor nudging, so it's not a brute force event. It's just a minor event. However, there is another little system coming in right here, which is quite a bit stronger. This comes in Sunday morning into midday Sunday. This is quite a bit of lift. Now, the models didn't have a whole lot of moisture to work with it in the earlier runs, and now they're starting to say there's a little bit better moisture. So we'll probably get some storms out of this, especially in southern and southeastern Oklahoma and into Arkansas. More on that here in a second. When you do look at the lift at the 700 millibar level for the dry line action, I mean, it's fired up right here in Canadian County. This is where the triple point is. So it's thinking, woof, there's a lot of lift. But if you click on that area, there's a lot of dry air. In other words, the big juice hasn't made it in. So any storm that tries to get going in this environment is not going to have much luck. They would have to go a little bit more to the east. So maybe we'll pinpoint Oklahoma County at this point in time at 7 o'clock this evening. And there you got quite a bit more moisture, and you still have a favorable profile for a thunderstorm to develop. The cap hasn't quite built in yet. It's right around minus 52, so there's a potential that we could see a supercell storm go up here around the Oklahoma City metro. The winds are a little weak, that to my liking, in the lower kilometers of the atmosphere, but the shear and the turning with height is good. It's stable aloft. The overall helicity for the first 3 kilometers is actually in the ballpark of where you need to be for potential tornado. Hail size up to 3 inches or bigger in the analogs in diameter, and a tornado threat at least of about an EF1 strength in this particular setup, which will change in the evening a little bit more as more moisture works in. So again, we got to watch things carefully here. Even though it's a conditional risk, if a storm does develop, things look pretty heated. All right, so here is Friday afternoon. Actually, let's just start you from the beginning this morning. Watch how this moisture just races in here over 12 hours. I mean, just from central Texas right into southeastern Kansas, really quick. This time of the year, that can happen. Once the atmosphere gets going, it gets going. All right, so here's, let's just go ahead to the next map so I can zoom in more and show you what the model looks like for the surface features. So we'll stop it right about here at 7 o'clock. Okay, so at 7 o'clock, the triple point is still forming right here in Canadian County. Hasn't quite solidified yet. The front is up to the north, kind of snaking in like this, and the dry line is still kind of taking shape out in this area. So it's very late in its setup, but it is getting there. And then here's the other little frontal boundary doing something like this, but it's a little chaotic. So maybe closer to the I-44 corridor. Like I said, it's kind of in the early stages. We go through the 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock hour. Things get a little bit better organized. More moisture works in here to central Oklahoma, so better moisture and stability here for Oklahoma County, for example. So when I plot that forecast sounding here, indices are a little bit better for maybe a stronger type tornado, in other words, because there's better instability, there's better other ingredients. The hail sizes are still there, etc. But the cap builds once we get to 8, 9 o'clock. So you're going to have to already have a storm going, otherwise a storm doesn't happen. This is a very short window to happen from really 5:30 to 7:30, but doesn't happen, show's over. All right, so here's a look though at the moisture channel. We can, when you factor in the instability along with it in the form of CAPE values, you can see how they kind of snake up east side of town through 6 o'clock, those brighter colors, and they kind of curve back in Oklahoma City at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock. So we do have the instability in the CAPE and the shear if we can get a storm to go in this environment. And that does continue up the road toward Tulsa, although not quite as potent, still enough to do the job. When we do look at the tornado parameter, we can see here this afternoon, right here, it starts to get, let's see, there's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, and then there's 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and 9 o'clock. So you see these numbers really start going up with the brighter colors until we get into that after hour period. Here's 10 o'clock. So again, the best ingredients come in just a few hours too late. I mean, it's amazing how quickly things can change. And it's amazing how just a few hours makes a big difference in what you have to work with. And thank goodness those are coming in about 3 hours too late, or we'd have a completely different outcome of the forecast that is just possibly a severe storm to get ready, one of those deals. All right, so here's a look at we're going to do some of the CAM models. That's right. So I was loading these up earlier, and I think I didn't even look at them all because I think we're going to look at them together. Let's see. So first one's first. Let's go to the 3 kilometer NAM. And we'll show you what the output is for each one, because each one's a little bit different, right? So the NAM likes to fire stuff off here in central Oklahoma. We'll take a close-up view of this here in just a second. But that fires off also into Missouri, into Arkansas a little bit. There's a big cluster there that moves through southeast Oklahoma, all the way down into Arkansas. And then as we head into tomorrow, so this is why I was saying tomorrow into Sunday, we are still getting a lot of moisture around. So a lot of cloud cover, some showers, sprinkles, that kind of deal. So it's not exactly the best weekend, unfortunately, to get outdoors and do stuff the way the weather's looking right now, but it is what it is. So there's Saturday evening. There's some elevated scattered showers, a couple rumbles of thunder moving into Arkansas again, far eastern Oklahoma. And then here comes the final wave here on Sunday morning as that bigger energy kicks through the jet stream we talked about at the start of the show. And you can see how there's more storms firing up here across southern, southeastern Oklahoma, and North Texas. Those are a little stronger. But as far as really magnitude of severe weather, those are very benign compared to the potential for today and what we've seen in the past. So that's some good news there. Let me zoom in for that before I go to the other model data. just so you guys can see here in Oklahoma City. So there you go. Model does try to fire off some storms here. There is 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, nothing. 7 o'clock is trying to go up the road to Tulsa. There's 8 o'clock and there's 9 o'clock. This actually has a helicity track with it, which indicates at least some hail, large hail at that, probably 2 inches and greater in diameter, but also potential for a tornado. So we got to kind of watch this, and the model's not that good to pinpoint the exact spot where this is going to happen. Could be a little bit more west, could be a little north, could be a little northeast, so but it's going to be in the vicinity. There's 10 o'clock, still going strong. Some new development there at 11, 12, there's 1 o'clock in the morning. On into southeast Oklahoma at 3, 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, 7, 8. And then you can see that's residual, just sprinkles. This will be from a cloud cover, some drizzle, just kind of annoying stuff. There's Saturday morning scattered across the eastern half of the state, just enough kind of get things wet. And then there's the, let's go to the Sunday morning time frame. So there's a close-up view of this activity down into southern Oklahoma on the Red River. And then that kind of continues on toward McAllister and Fort Smith as you head into your eastern morning time frame. And then for eastern afternoon, it all finally moves off. So we do get some relief later on Easter. It's just at the beginning stages, it's going to be kind of gross. Let's see if the clouds do clear out just in time for you. When we looked at kind of froze on me here for still going. All right, so it's still trying. There we go. Now it's flashing green again. I don't know what happens. Every now and then, this thing just, I don't know, everything just freaks out. So there's 6 o'clock Saturday evening. Let's go to Sunday. There's all the clouds. And as we head into the afternoon, Sunday lunchtime, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4. Just like last night's data. Sorry, guys. All you can hope for on Sunday, late at the end of the day, is a few breaks in the clouds, a few peaks of sun. And unfortunately, that's about it. Okay, so let me see about the other CAM models for threats of severe weather here across parts of north central, northeastern Oklahoma. Did it do anything today? Not really. That's when kept everything in Arkansas. They had fired off stuff way after midnight tonight into southeast Oklahoma, of all places. All right, that's an interesting take. And then it's got the same result for the rest of the weekend. All right, let's go to the next one. All right, anything going to fire off with this one? Same idea, kind of northeast Oklahoma. And then there's that little spot there east of Oklahoma City. So maybe we'll say around Shawnee at 9 o'clock. So there's 2 in favor of that same position. Look right there. There is a helicity track with this one. So these are 2 different model schematics, 2 different physics, and they both kind of indicate the same idea. So we're kind of onto something here as far as this forecast goes. Let's see. Oh, let me play the rest of that out. I kind of stopped it there. My bad. Let's see. So that moves on through the rest of tonight. So same idea as all the others. So no change. The rest of the forecast is really easy. It's just the very first few hours. Do we get something that pops here in part of central Oklahoma, or is it a little bit more to the east? That's really the only thing we're kind of fine-tuning. Now this particular model here brings it as far west as about Stillwater when it pops, and then so it's a little bit more to the north, and it does have a helicity track, and it brings it right through the Tulsa metro area with a nice strong helicity track, which could indicate a potential tornado and or large hail. Of course, always get a chance for damaging wind in a supercell storm. It's got another buddy up here around Bartlesville, and that moves south and east as well toward Fort Smith. So, and that is through the early evening hours. So it's a little sooner and a little more potent on the output. So just kind of one storm to watch. It's got a couple of storms at least to watch, starting as early as 6 o'clock out here. So we'll keep an eye on how that goes. All right, let's move on then. Let's see, what else I want to show you? Well, let's see if this one's come in. I don't think it has in time. Let's see. Nope. It's not going to make it before this broadcast is over. And on this one, yep, that one neither. All right, that's fine. So rainfall amounts. When you look at the high resolution data, which really tries to break down the heaviest thunderstorms and therefore the best rain potential out of them, it does favor wherever that cluster falls. And again, remember that cluster had varied from this region to this region to this region. So somewhere in here, the kind of models have favored either this spot, this spot, this spot, or this spot, right? So regardless of where that ends up, right now the most favored region seems to be kind of Tulsa to Oklahoma City area. The models do indicate as much as 4 inches of rain if we can get those big time clusters of storms going. They train over one another, and then we get more development after the fact, right, as this whole frontal system moves southward. So you could get some brief flash flooding as a result in any areas that are heavily hit. Otherwise, a spittering of just enough to get the ground wet and a nuisance. That's what this all pattern is. This pattern you see here, this is all a nuisance pattern. In other words, this is just to mess up your weekend and put a frown on your face. It doesn't do really any good in the rainfall bucket. It does help to tamper the fire weather conditions briefly. But as far as anything significant on the rainfall, it's not there. 2/10 of an inch, that's not going to do us any good. But that's what we have here for a good part of our weekend into at least Sunday morning before things clear out. We did talk about the winds being gusty today, so that's going to continue. So here is a look. Let's just jump into your forecast then. Hot today here in Oklahoma City, which should be in the mid 80s at least. So then we'll be into the 60s for highs on Saturday with all the clouds, a few sprinkles, etc. Sunday, because we'll get some peaks of sun by the second half of the day here in Oklahoma City, we'll warm up to 72. But if you're on the east side versus west side, not so much the case. I'll show you the map here in a second. And then on Monday, Tuesday, we start to warm up. So we're back into the 80s, upper 70s. Overnight lows getting better. And then we looked at these lows of the morning to see if there's any threat of a freeze across the state, especially on Tuesday morning. And really only in far northeast Oklahoma do you guys need to worry as far as a freeze or a frost is concerned. So that's a little bit different story than we had yesterday morning. All right, so let's go to your temperatures statewide. And we'll show you how that breaks down for your weekend. And at least the winds will die off, I believe, on Sunday too. Even really on Saturday. So let's take a look at that too. All right, so here's Friday. Sorry, we got the heat out west. So there's our mid 80s here in central Oklahoma and near 90 parts of west and southwest Oklahoma, thanks to the dry line. A little cooler to the east. All right. And then let's head into tomorrow. So Saturday we'll start you off in the 50s and 40s because the front has pressed through central northern Oklahoma and out to the west. And then in the afternoon, we're going to rebound you only into the 60s out across northeast Oklahoma. Looks like we're going to stay stuck into the 50s here in central Oklahoma and points to the south a little bit because of all the cloud cover and a few of those little sprinkles and showers. On Saturday, let's go into Sunday morning. So cool, 40s, 50s out there. And then for your Easter Sunday in the afternoon, what's going to happen here? Well, by 5 o'clock with the sunshine, nice rebound out here across western parts of the state. This particular model, it doesn't say we hit 60. It says we still stay in the 50s. The sun comes in too late, and we'll see. Sometimes this model's a little too excited on hanging on to stuff, so I can at least go upper 50s with this as we get some sun later in the afternoon. So that's some good news there, at least slightly, but eastern Oklahoma is still pretty chilly. Here's a look at the wind field. Of course, windy today. Watch the bright colors. There's windy tonight with the front. Okay, do the winds calm down at all for Saturday? No. They just stay out of the northeast. Winds up to 20, 25 miles per hour. Probably occasional gusts higher than that. But then on Sunday, there's the winds going light from the north. Do they stay that way? Yes, they do. So Sunday afternoon, a little breezy down here in southern Oklahoma. Winds up to around 15 to 20 miles per hour at most. Otherwise, the rest of the state's pretty quiet. So if you need a quiet day with less wind, Sunday is your pick of the litter. All right, well, that's it for me. That's pretty much all there is to say. So I will keep an eye on the sky for you this afternoon and evening across parts of central and northeastern Oklahoma. Looks like we will have a few storms, and I will cover those if it looks like they will be potentially tornadic. And if it's just a garden variety thunderstorm or just typical hail and wind on the low end, I don't worry too much about those. But if I do see something rotating and something that may looks like could produce a tornado, etc., I'll be broadcasting you guys up around the Tulsa area, northeast Oklahoma, and here in central Oklahoma, and then even out into parts of Arkansas, tracking it into that area if they're holding together and they're still producing that same type of a threat. So that's it for me, you guys. Enjoy the rest of you. Have a great afternoon. Hope you have a great weekend and a great Easter weekend at that, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.